to Crafting on the Plains. My name is Jacinta, and this is my channel mostly about kind of cross stitch, but also occasionally about other crafts like knitting, quilting, sewing, and any other crafty endeavors that I happen to get up to. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to both new and returning viewers. I am always so grateful and just feel so blessed every time that I see that people are watching my videos. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend a little bit of your day with me. If you have not already, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. It does help me out, as well as it helps, you know, YouTube know that you want to see more of my videos. So that's always super appreciated. I am just talking about cross stitch today. I've got a finish. I'm looking at my pile. I got my finish. I've got a new start. I've got some whips, and yeah, I've just got a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna talk about some plans, and I have a giveaway winner to announce. So I am just gonna get started. I am hoping there's not too much road noise. I live on a busy street, and it has been raining every day so much here in the part of Oklahoma where I live. And yeah, it's been nice. I mean, I always appreciate the rain, but it does make it mean there's a lot of people driving through puddles out there. So anyway, I'm going to just jump right in. This is my finish, and this is, I believe the pattern's called Maypeace Rain, and it is by an Instagrammer who I think I always say their name wrong, so I'm just going to put it below. But this is an Instagrammer who does not usually do, like, I don't think that this Instagrammer is a regular designer, but just sometimes posts little charts. So this is for my year of freebies stitch along that I am hosting, where I'm trying to stitch freebies, not exclusively freebies, but I'm trying to stitch as many freebies as I can throughout the year, just to sort of enjoy some of these free charts that I've been having my eye on for a while, and share free charts that other people might be interested in. So if you are stitching along with me, please feel free to tag me. Let me know somehow that you are stitching freebies, because I would love to know what you are stitching. So this is, like I said, this is my finish, and this is stitched on a 36 count fiber on a whim in the color Milk and Honey, and I stitched it 2/2. I think I actually would have preferred to do it 1/1. I think it looks fine like this, but I think 1/1 would have been fine, but I just started it 2/2 and didn't want to rip out. So there we go. And it does have this really interesting little specialty stitch heart down at the bottom. And I replaced the French knots with some leftover Mill beads on the birds, like the olive branches, I think they are, just because I thought that would be nice, and also a way to use up some Mill Hills. And this is the floss that I used. It is from Stitchy Stuff, and it is in the colorway Summer Sky. I'm wondering if you can hear my cat. She's been liking to make appearances between the driving and the cat. We'll just see how this goes. But so this is a finish. I think it's probably going to be a pillow. I'm not really sure. I am planning a finishing marathon at some point this summer, and I'm really excited about it. All right, my new start. This is a new start that I have been planning for so long, and it is, get out the pattern, Rejoice Evermore by Brenda Gervais. And I bought this whole kit from Evertotes for birthday present for myself. And then this was my Easter start. So I actually started this on Easter. And this is where I got to. I did do a little bit more of the vine, just like a few more stitches of the vine, which you can't see, but really it's fine. So I'm working the border. I'm kind of trying to work the border a little bit simultaneously. So I did some border, and then I'm doing a little bit of the internal chart, and then I'm going to do some more border. So get you a little bit closer so you can see. I'm stitching this 1/2 on 36 count, and this is in their colorway Porcelain from Roxy Floss. And that is how it looks. I think this is like page 1 down to here. There's a little bit more on page 1. I think it goes down to basically this area. So like that is page 1. And I think I'm going to try to do like the first page, kind of focus on that. So this has really been my main focus project. I will say the flosses are gorgeous. I did have a little bit of trouble, and this was not really anyone's fault, but the flosses are beautiful. Beautiful. And so one thing that I did not realize is this is not a 1-to-1 conversion. So this is someone else. It's Maxim Cross Stitch Power Hour, her conversion that she made that is a little bit slightly different than what is charted. So there's some, there's some colors in here in the original that she actually used 2 different colors depending on which motif she was on. And then some where she used the same color for 2 different like charted for colors. I don't know if that's explaining that well. Anyway, I don't think I realized that when I was purchasing it. I thought it was like a 1-to-1 conversion. Totally fine, because I think it's going to be beautiful. But I was very confused when I got my flosses, because also apparently it's supposed to come with a little card that says like the conversion. And I don't think I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. I did email Evertote customer service, and they got back with me super fast and were really, really helpful. And were like, it's supposed to come with a card, but here is on the website where you find the conversion, which was actually under the listing. So if I had just more thoroughly read the listing, I would have found a link to like a downloadable page with the conversion on there. So it was mostly my fault, or really entirely my fault for not fully reading. But I'm not mad because it is absolutely beautiful. But if you do purchase this, just know it's not a 1-to-1 conversion. You're going to have to do a little bit of like, you're going to have to really read the conversion carefully if you want it to go the way that they have it in the conversion. Just because there are some flosses that you'll use twice, and then sometimes you'll use 2 different flosses for a particular symbol, depending on which motif you're on. So that's all explained super clearly in the conversion. It's not difficult to understand. I just didn't know what I was looking for. So that was user error. But these are beautiful. So happy with them. I've never used Roxy Floss before. I'm very, very happy with it. I will say the only other thing, I think because I'm doing 36, and this was originally charted for 40. And I think if I had gone with the 40, I wouldn't be having this problem. However, if you will see on some of my, I don't even know if you can tell, but some of my stitches are actually 2/2. So this, the top part of the strawberry, like the pink part, the light pink part, that's actually 2/2. And it looks slightly more dimensional if you look at it closely. And then this down here, the bottom part of whatever this flower is, the yellow part is also 2/2, whereas everything else is 1/1. This is because when I used 1/1 on this fabric, those colors did not show up at all. You could not see at all what was going on. So I went ahead and just made the decision that I was going to risk running out of floss in order to do the 2/2 just so you can see it. I think it will be okay because I don't think either one of these colors is used so much that it will matter. There are a few places where these colors are used where they're actually surrounded by other stitches. I'm hoping that for that, I can actually just use the 1/1. It's just that when they're just off on their own, you know, doing their own thing without any surrounding stitches, you couldn't see it without the 2/2. So that is one thing I would say. I think if I had got the 40 count, it wouldn't have been an issue. So that's just another word of caution, I guess. But I think it should turn out fine. I'm in love with this project. I love stitching this project. This has definitely been the main thing I've stitched since Easter when I started it. It's been the main stitch for me. And I'm very happy with it. My cat's saying hello again. She wants someone to play with her. Okay, I'm going to move on to my whips. So my next whip is Nature's Journey, and this is a seasonal stitch along that is in Just Cross Stitch magazine, and it's the pattern designer is Sprouting Lupine. And this is where I am. I am on the spring section. The summer section, which is over this way, has already come out. However, I started this a couple days after the spring equinox, and then I'm going to start the summer one at the summer solstice. So I have still a couple months to work on this portion. I cannot remember if last time I showed you all of this up here is completed. I think I have a couple stitches somewhere to do in here, but mostly all of this is completed. So I've been working my way down. This side is where the summer, and you actually finish this flower in the summer chart. So my goal has been to really focus on this edge. That way, even if I don't complete everything, by the time I get to summer, I can go ahead and start the summer piece and then just pick up and finish whatever part of spring I have not done. So I feel like at this point, I'm pretty confident that I can stitch summer off of this very easily. So I am going to still work on this piece, but I'm just going to do whatever motif kind of strikes me as that I want to do. There's a really beautiful bird's nest that's right here, so I think I might work on that next. But yeah, this is actually, once I got through these flowers, these white flowers, it goes fairly quickly. It's a lot of color changes. So what I've had sort of been doing was I would pick a motif over here and use a color, and then when I got done with that color on this side, I would just find another random motif over on this side to sort of like stitch. That's why this butterfly is like partially done, just so I wouldn't have to change out colors as much. But it is a lot of color changes, but I think it's worth it. It's beautiful, and it is stitched in all DMC, but it looks like variegated. I think a couple people have said that. It looks like it's stitched in variegated floss because of the way that she really uses the colors. And this is stitched on a 32 count cobblestone by Atomic Ranch. And this is a fat quarter, and I actually think this is going to use up most of the fat quarter. So that's all right. And I'm stitching it to 2 over 2. And like I said, with the call for DMCs. And I love this. My next whip was a whip that was called On My Whip Wheel, and that is Plum Street Samplers Stars. And this is a piece I started last Memorial Day weekend. I started it at the Stitching Bee Retreat in 2024. And I did pull this on my whip wheel. I got more progress on this than I had anticipated. I really was not that enthused to work on it, but I went ahead and did it because that was what the whip wheel said. And I did want to put some stitches into it this year before this summer. So this is what I did. I basically I did some outlining in went ahead and stitched in a lot of the white pieces here. And I finished out the star here. Just kind of did some of the windows and stuff, so that way it would be easier to go ahead and start just stitching down the shape of the barn or house or whatever this is. And I did do some stitching on this. I went ahead and took it down to here, and I am starting to work on some of the motifs over here. And I think I did a few other little random bits, like I worked on this eagle over here, and I'm not sure what else, but that is the piece. I am doing my own conversion on this, and it is not a 1-for-1. There are a lot of colors that I'm just sort of, for example, you use both Ecru and maybe B52. I'm not really sure, but I'm just using B5200 for all of the white, no matter what shade of white. It's just one white. There's a few other things where as I get into the project, these are my flosses, but as I get into the project, I'm just sort of seeing what I like. So it's not really a cohesive conversion. If anyone is particularly interested in what I have done so far, the colors I picked so far, please reach out to me via email or DM me on Instagram, and I'm happy to send you what I've got, but I just can't promise you like it's complete because I'm kind of making it up as I go. I pulled some flosses I knew I thought I wanted to use, but the rest is kind of just made up as I go. But I do like it. And this is stitched 2/2 on a 36 count. This is Sand by Picture This Plus. And I do want to finish this summer. I probably won't pull this back out until well, it's getting close to May. So I'll probably pull this out like Memorial Day weekend and stitch on it through the summertime is a goal. All right, my next whip is another whip from my whip wheel, or the other whip from my whip wheel. And that is also seasonally inappropriate, and that is Christmas Wonderland Sal. So this was a mystery stitch along from Caterpillar Cross Stitch in 2023. So very behind. It's fine. I'm just going at my own pace. I started stitching clue 4. So clue 1 was the center pond ice skating rink that I have not finished yet. Clue 2 was down in that bottom corner. Clue 3 was up here. And then this is clue 4, kind of the top center. So I did do a little bit more on the ice skating rink. I doubt you can tell because it's just rows of blue. But what I really focused on were these houses. So my goal was to just finish these 2 houses and get them done. And then do a little bit on the rink. So very low goal. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but basically very attainable goal basically. And even though my goal was these 2 houses, it took me quite a while to do. This is a project that also has a lot of color changes, a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say confetti, but it's just a lot of color changes. And it just makes it take a little bit longer than you think. Because you think, oh, it's like block stitching. It's, but it's actually a little bit harder than you would kind of think it would be. So it took me these 2 weeks, obviously with not stitching on it every day, but I had a few stitching sessions to get these 2 houses. And then I did start on this tree back here. But that's it. That is what I did. I am hoping on making this more of a focus for like Christmas in July, maybe. Just get a little bit more of that clue 4 and that pond done. But it was good to go ahead and pull it out. I had not worked on this at all in 2025. And so I felt like I needed to go ahead and do that. And it was what the whip wheel wanted me to do. Okay, that is all of my stitching. I'm going to talk about some plans. So I'm actually not going to be spinning my whip wheel. Gasp. Horror. I know. It is because I have some very specific plans over the next few weeks that I want to work on. I'm not abandoning my whip wheel. I will get back into it, but I think over the next couple weeks, maybe even next couple months, I might be focusing more on projects. Sorry that I'm playing with my hair. It's always a thing. I'm focusing on projects that that are related to what I'm doing, basically. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it and maybe it'll explain itself. So I haven't bought my ticket yet, but I am planning on going to the Spring Fling, Spring Fling, which is hosted by Knottedstitches, which is this coming weekend. And I have 2 projects that I am planning on making my focus projects for that event. So if you see me there, which I hope I do see you, let me know if you're going to be there, and hopefully we'll run into each other in a room. But if you see me there, I am probably going to be stitching on one of these 2 projects. So the first project that I'm going to be stitching on, this was a new start from the Stitching Bee retreat that I went to this past March. in my bag. Has a little bit of a wonky zipper, which is why I kept this one and give the other ones to my friends. And this project is The Raccoon by Cottage Garden Samplings. I always want to say that wrong. It's from Cottage Garden Samplings, and it is the Year in the Woods series, number 4 for Year in the Woods. So there we go. I am stitching this on a piece of 32 count Lugana, and it is called, I think it's called Standing Stones, and it is by 2 Dye For Fabrics, I believe. Live and Dye LA. That's what it is. Live and Dye LA. Sorry about that. And here is where I am. So I started this at the Stitching Bee. I stitched on it at the Stitching Bee, and then I think I put a couple more stitching sessions in. So it's kind of a sad little start, if I'm being real. So it's kind of a sad little start, and I want to do more of this. I want to get more of a start on this piece. So I thought, okay, perfect opportunity. If I'm going to be doing a stitchy weekend, it's the Spring Fling. This is a springtime-y piece, and just carry it over from one retreat to the next retreat, or at least virtual retreat, right? So that is where I am, and that is what I'm going to be working on for the retreat. Now, this is counting, so I cannot always do it. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm able to do some of this, but I also pulled, and I'm doing all the called for on this one, all the called for flosses. I pulled out as well a project which has a lot of fill-in that needs to be done, which is Spring Moon by Plum Street. Also appropriate, also spring themed. This was my New Year, New Start in 2024, and it's not done. So I would really like to get it. I would love to get it done this year. I don't know if that's reasonable, but I'm going to show you where I am. I worked on this, I think last month. I can't remember exactly, but it's not, I've been working on it recently. It is not ironed. I apologize. It did not iron. I never ironed my plans. So this is where I am on it. And as you can see, there's a lot of fill-in that needs to happen in this basket on this roof. And then there's also there's some fill-in that needs to happen in here. There's just a lot of kind of like, and then this here is like checkerboard fill-in that can happen. Yeah, there's some fill-in on the house. This is a big fill-in piece. That's basically all that needs to happen is fill-in, fill-in, fill-in. So I thought that when I'm doing something that's super chatty or I'm tired, I'm not feeling like working on my piece that requires counting, I'll pull this one out and it'll be a perfect piece. This I'm stitching on a 32 count sand by Fiber on a Whim, or wheat by Fiber on a Whim. I can't remember if it's wheat or sand. I think it's sand. And I'm stitching it 1/2 with the Vicky Clayton silk conversion. So hopefully the next time I see you, there will be some good progress on those. I'm going to continue working on my New Start and my Rejoice Evermore, as well as on my Nature's Journey as well. But these are kind of the big plans for the weekend. The next thing I'm going to do. Now, I would love y'all's help on figuring out where this challenge came from, because I have seen some people talking about it, but I cannot remember for the life of me what stitchy group it's out of. So I'm not trying to claim that I've invented this or anything. I'm basically crashing somebody's stitch along, but I don't know who's, because I heard about it. I thought that's a great idea. I'm going to do it, but I don't know like what group it's part of. But I know there are people every year that stitch for like major bicycle races like Tour de France. So one of the races is the Giro d'Italia, and I will be upfront and say I don't know anything about bike racing, so I'm not the if I misspeak, I apologize. But the Giro d'Italia runs from early May, I think May 9th, and to early June, like June 1st. and they do a certain amount of kilometers a day. So what some people have been doing, and again, I don't know what stitchy group this is part of, what some people do is they try to stitch a certain number of stitches depending on how many kilometers the racers are going to be traveling that day. And I think that's a great idea because I have a couple projects, but I have one particular project where I really just need to get some consistent stitches into, and that is my full coverage. So this right here, I'll post a picture so you can see what it's going to look like. But this right here is a very wrinkled mini Ravenkin by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is no longer a chart. This is discontinued. It's no longer available from Heaven and Earth Designs. I believe the original artist is Selena Finich. But here we go. I've got lots of park threads. And I am on my 3rd page. So I don't remember exactly I forgot to look what percentage I was at. But basically I did these 2 pages. And then I did this page down here. And it's funny because on camera, I feel like it looks really like it's got a lot of holes. But then when you actually look at it in person, you can't see. So interesting. Okay. But here it is. So I'm working on, this is the 3rd page that I've started, and I'm kind of stuck on this page because there's a lot of confetti through here. This is going to be a raven on her shoulder. So that's her head, that's her shoulder, and the raven's on her shoulder. So I really need to get some stitching on this. I've hardly worked on this year, and I love this project. I just need motivation, and I just need to get some momentum going. So I am going to make this my Giro d'Italia stitch, and I'm going to stitch 1 stitch for every kilometer that they're doing. I don't know how any other challenges are working, but that's just me personally. Most days that's going to be about 150 to 200 something stitches. Some days are very light, like it's only like a small handful of stitches. Those ones I'll probably like roll over and just tack on to the prior day or the next day or the day before, the day after is what I'm trying to say. Just so that I'm not sitting down and stitching like 14 stitches and then putting it away. And that gives me some days that are like breaks so I can stitch other things. There's some break days for the actual people who are participating in the race. So those are break days as well, or catch up days, I guess, if I don't stitch my amount of stitches. But my goal is to stitch during the Giro d'Italia. On this piece, it's on Pattern Keeper, so it'll be really easy for me to keep track of how many stitches I'm doing. I'm just really excited about this. As I've said, I love this project, and I think I just need something to give me some momentum and motivation to really, really like get some stitches. And I think if I can just move past this page and I kind of get moved on to something else, then I'm hoping that'll like re-spark my love of the project. I still love the project, but I just think that I got a bit burned out. So I want to correct that at this point. And this is being stitched 2/1 10th stitch on a 25 count Lugana, just Zweigart Lugana. And yep, that's where I am. I'm just using all the call for DMC. That concludes my whips and my plans and all my stitching. So now I am going to do my giveaway announcement. So last time, 2 weeks ago, whenever I filmed my video, I announced that I was giving away a copy of Mary Jane's Motifs from Leela's Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and do my random comment picker and choose a winner. Okay, and the winner is Little Bird Stitcher 9287. So if you are, and I'll put that on the bottom, Little Bird Stitcher 9287. If that is you, please send me either an email, my email is below, or a DM on Instagram to give me your address, your full name and address, and then I will get this chart sent off to you. And so congratulations. Thank you all so much for playing along. I really appreciate it. So that is all that I have to share with you today. I really haven't done any shopping. I did a little bit of knitting, but nothing too major to share. So that's all I've got. I would love to know if you've made it this far in the video, what are you currently stitching on? And also please drop me an emoji. Please give me a, I think there's a butterfly emoji. So if you want to share the butterfly emoji, so I know you made it all the way to the end. I always love seeing how many people who are commenting have made it all the way to the end of my video and how many people made it to the end of my video. So yes, please do that. And I hope that you all have a great next couple weeks and get lots of crafting time in.